Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Fischler. Thanks for being with us today. And we are excited to host the first of a series of roundtable discussions. And today we're joined by two of our community's most influential government leaders. With us today is John Talmage, Director, Lee County Economic Development, as well as Mr. Steve Beldon, Director, City of Fort Myers Community Development Department. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Phil.
We are looking forward to your insights on what we've been through. So here we are, May 14, 2020, roughly 2 months into a major disruption that has impacted our entire community and nearly all of our industries and businesses. And the purpose of the talk today is just to take a few minutes and cover some key areas. First one is reflect. Let's take a look back and talk about maybe some of the things we've learned. Second is talk about the restart. As we venture back into business and into our lives, let's talk about what's next. And then finally, take a look a little bit further about the restoration and how we all as individuals and organizations might be able to contribute to restoring our communities and our businesses and our industry. So that's the theme of our time today: reflect, restart, restore. So with that, John, maybe you can start us off and talk to us a little bit about what your agency has learned through this event and what's working well.
I think, we will all probably agree that we were also overwhelmed at the very beginning of this. And when we start talking about hundreds of billions of dollars and trillions of dollars so casually, it's a new world. Mm-hmm. The CARES Act is finally working itself through the system, but it was a lot of pain to get there. We think somewhere between 55 and 71,000 Lee County residents have applied for reemployment benefits. We're processing they process about 47% of those right now. That means there's probably around $30 million coming to Lee County every week in reemployment. We think we received about $600 million of PPP loans in Lee County. $650 million that we're tracking at the state level. There's still $100 million left in the PPP program, so there's a lot of capacity. But every week, every day, how we got here was a little bit more painful until we hit, such a desperate number that it was hard to imagine another side of this. And we're now looking at, coming out of it, but still with fear. Are we going to come out economically healthy, or are we coming back with a new surge in the fall? And I think that it's how we interact with each other, both at a retail space or an outdoor venue or whatnot, is going to really change. And our economy is waiting to see how we do that before it knows how to respond fully and knows where it's going. I think the psychology of this has been so difficult. And so anyone who says they know what the other side looks like does it because it's not an economic event anymore. And it's not necessarily a public health event only anymore. It's a psychological recovery.
Absolutely. That's great feedback. I appreciate that. Steve, how about from your perspective?
So I think from the city's perspective and looking at it from the citywide, the government and my department, one thing looking back on all this is, we've been able to adapt to change, adapt to what we're faced with, not knowing what we're facing. And, we learned that, government doesn't like change. Government, moves very slowly when it comes to change, but we learned that we can adapt when we have to, we can adjust when we have to. And we can continue providing the vital services that that the citizens expect from us on a daily basis. We don't have the luxury or the option to say, well, we're going to close the doors and we'll be back when this is over with. We can't do that. We have to continue to function and provide those essential services to the community. And we may do that in different ways now, and we are doing those in different ways. But we're still here, we're still operating, and we're still viable, and we're adapting sometimes on a daily basis to what's going on. And that's something that I've learned in this process, is that we can adapt and we can change and we can continue to perform those vital functions.
Right. What are a couple examples of that adapting?
Sure. So for our department, and I'll speak to community development in particular, is, you know, we are a heavily service oriented department. We bring in a lot of customers come into our office, and that presents challenges when you're dealing with a high volume of customers and the concerns that staff has with, you know, especially early on with how contagious is this? There were so many unknowns. Is how do we deal with this? And how do we protect our staff while still providing those services? And, you know, we were able to keep our doors open. We were able to keep our office open, to provide those services on a continuing basis. You know, we made some adjustments in terms of just intaking applications. And, you know, we were fortunate that we had put in place previously some physical glass barriers in our lobby, which really helped protect our staff and allowed us to continue to take in those customers in our lobby because we had those protective barriers already in place. Pre-application meetings, you know, we're doing Zoom pre-application meetings. We're all experts in Zoom now.
That's right.
Whether we like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, and we've actually found that in one positive benefit from the Zoom meetings is actually they're more productive in some ways, and we get through the meetings quicker. I'm sure you're finding that as well, and I think that's something we want to continue with is having that ability to give that option to applicants to have those Zoom pre-application meetings.
That's great to hear. As we've all seen in the last few years, Fort Myers has really hit the national radar. We have a lot of people here from major markets looking to do work in our town. And what a great service that would be to offer them to be able to have more Zoom communication with folks that are coming from out of market. Appreciate those comments, gentlemen.